So what I'm trying to discuss today, and I started this discussion out on the Facebook world, and since I did that, let me see if there's some cross marketable. I don't know what the fuck word I'm even trying to say right now. Let me see if I can do this. That's it. While I listen to a rough version of a song I recorded, I can't remember when. I'm not saying it's a. I don't even remember recording this. This is the Jacobites, which were a great fucking band. Oh my god! And this is my version of. God damn! What the fuck's the name of the song? I'm drawing a complete blank. Oh, "Son of a French Nobleman" by the Jacobites. Jacobites. Great fucking band. Check them out. I'm going through my loop station and seeing what the hell exists after a year of recording loops with strangers met with in parking lots. Okay, so let's, or the neighborhood or streets or whatever. So anyway, let's go. And then I keep forgetting that I have my Bluetooth keyboard because nothing works conveniently. That would be too easy. So there we go. Just this, that's just for statistical measurement purposes. I think it says I have one viewer now. If that's what the one human body means, I like to learn as I go. And right now, I was trying to say morning ritual. That's how we should begin every day. And I think that's even more important now than ever because of the crazy ass world we live in. I mean, we live in a world. Normalcy has kind of gone out the window for us thanks to the permanent apocalypse we live in. If you have children, are they in school traditionally, or are they being homeschooled, or some nightmare between the two? Like I know a freighter whose son is going 2 days a week, and then off 3. And there's all this nightmare. There's all this nightmare. What's going on? Like how do I have traditional job? I'm single parent. My kids who can't be left alone now don't have school to go to. Children don't have the traditional routine of maybe getting up and going, routine's important. It is to a very large degree. And ritual is important to routine. And I'm a magic user, and that might sound weird to say to some, I suppose, but no different than saying I'm a Christian or I'm a Buddhist. And I think I'm an omnist, OMNIST. I believe in everything. I think everything has a value to be gleaned from it. But I have a problem with Christianity, and I wouldn't, at this juncture, want to call myself a Christian. Do I know some amazing Christians? Yeah, I do. I do. No doubt. But I know some amazing Muslims, and I know some amazing Jews, and I know some amazing Buddhists, and I know some amazing Hindus. Hindites. I'm sorry. See how ridiculous it gets. I mean, I'm joking. Okay. I know some wonderful Jainists. I know some wonderful Wiccans. I know some wonderful pagans. I know some wonderful Satanists. I know some wonderful humans that follow their own amalgamation of esoteric beliefs. But like William Blake said, invent your own mythology or forever be slave to another man's. I'm a Thelemite, primarily. That means I read the Book of the Law. That means I follow the teachings of Aleister Crowley. But if you read the Book of the law is, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. And that's an entirely different discussion. But part of my morning routine, my day, is religious, if you will. And that means ritual in a very specific sense to me. I do banishing rituals of the lesser pentagram, for example, and I do invocation rituals as well, because as above, so below. I mean, if you banish, you want to also invoke. You don't want to banish all the time, just banish, 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 because then what will there be but nothing. And you don't want to invoke all the time because then there'll be too much. It's a balance. It's a yin yang. And but the Book of the Law is not the only book I read daily. I do read the Book of the Law daily. It's a 3-chapter book, so I read the first chapter in the morning, second chapter midday, third chapter at night. It's just the way I do it. But did I do sometimes read the third chapter in the morning and the second chapter in the evening and the first chapter at night. But then there are days I read the second chapter in the morning and the first chapter in the midday and the third chapter in the evening. And then I also read the Tao Te Ching. I love the Tao Te Ching. I recommend the Tao Te Ching to everybody. In fact, my current copy is being borrowed by a wonderful waitress at Vincenzo's. If I recall names, and I never mean to be rude and forget a name. It's just that I meet someone, then they have this name, this collection of sounds that they say. But for some reason, that collection of sounds that they say does not match their energy that I pick up on. Like they are a different name in my head, different sound vibration. So their original name is lost, but I believe her name to be Gabby. But maybe that's completely not a waitress that works at Vincenzo's at all, and I'm just making her name up. But it's an honest to God, female that works there. Like there's 2 Lisas that work there. How inconvenient is that? When I say I want my favorite waitress currently, which is Lisa, and they say which one? I say fuck, I don't know. There was 2 that worked here. The one with her astrological symbol tattooed on her. Does that help? I don't know her last names. I mean, it's a waitress. I don't know their last name. That's not how that works in general. You know their first name, or shit, whatever name they put on their name tag. I think if I was a waitress, I would come up with a fake waitress name, or a waiter, or wait staff, or whatever. Fuck. I mean, and look at that. See, you don't. As far as I know, even though in our conversation we did not get that far, I believe their name to be Gabby. They looked to be a sexy female to me, but I do not know how they identified because that didn't come up in our brief fucking customer service relationship. I would say the sexy girl, because they look younger than me, and I don't mean like young girl, because I mean they're able to legally wait tables in the States. I don't know what the age range that makes them. I mean, they're beautiful, sexy. I mean, same word. They're, lady, girl, whatever the fuck, wasn't trying to pick them up. I was just trying to be nice. We had a great conversation. That person was not even my waitress. There was another beautiful creature that looked like a female, that maybe identified as a female, but that didn't come up in our brief customer service relationship either. And her name was not Morgan, but that's what it comes to me as. I know I can see her name tag in my brain, and it wasn't that, but I can't make it out. It's like blurry. So fuck me. What do you want me to do? I try my best. And in this world, sometimes that's not good enough. You just have to come to terms with that. So what I was going to say was, it's important, to read, I think, something philosophical, thought-provoking. Start your day you know, you know, get up, and that's your first moment right there of your ritual. Get up out of your bed, rise up, and then think, what's the next thing that I do to greet the day? How should I greet the day after that? First, I get up, boom, I rise, boom, I get out of bed. That's the first thing. What do I do then? Be mindful. Think about that. Plot it out. I mean, work on it. I mean, who knows what that first thing is? Sometimes it might be a biological necessity need to urinate or defecate. Okay, you don't, that's not, that could be, that's great. Hey, the fact that you have a urination system and a defecation system that work, that's great. And it often is part of the morning ritual. I grew up with a father who was always like, well, I need my coffee so I can have my morning shit. And that's great. That's great. I mean, I'm drinking coffee. I've never had a correlation, really, seriously. I mean, maybe, between like drinking coffee, and it would be like, clockwork. My father would, here's coffee. Like 30 minutes later, he's in the toilet. Not in the toilet. I mean, thank God my father was many things. My pater was many things. He wasn't an alcoholic. I mean, I think he was, but he was a functional one. And I think he was probably like a cokehead for a while too. That's all right. I mean, he's none of these things now. So I mean, but just I could be fucking wrong. I mean, these are just observations I made while growing up, and then based on my own personal life experience. Like, hey, when I was coked out of my head, I think that's what was going on with my dad that day. I mean, I don't judge him harshly. I don't fucking care. I mean, I like cocaine. I mean, I don't do it anymore, but I mean, don't mean I don't like it. I mean, gosh, I like strange drugs. Sorry, you know, I haven't done cocaine in 2 years. I'm proud of that fact. Doesn't mean I don't like it. So I mean, that's all. So right now I'm listening to loops on my station. Doesn't that sound like a lunatic thing? Down my station. This is how I record music. I don't know other people do it. This is an RC30 loop station by Boss. It's a great 2-track live. You just click that to record. It's recording right now, and see it says 57. There's no dot. That means this is an open track. And so then it just recorded, and it has no instrument hooked into it because my life's a nightmare. And you can watch past videos to find out, or if you care. And I think there's one viewer right now. Or if you watch later, you want to contact me. Let's see. If you want to contact me, how do we do that? Well, I don't know. Since we're going to be live, we might as well. And I'm sure there's a way I can get all snazzy with this, and I'll get into that later. But if you wanted to call, I don't have a cell phone right now because my life's a wreck. But I do, and I know this is crazy, have a landline to the temple here. And if you'd like to call it, I certainly could give a shit. I'm free to care. I just don't. It is, of course, 804-805-2134. That's the landline. If you actually wanted to call a phone that's plugged in over there next to the TV, because then it's like comes with Xfinity. It's not like I was trying to be atavistic. Just worked out that way conveniently. Because clearly I'm not atavistic. I'd much rather have a coffee and cigarette. Great movie by Jim Jarmusch, by the way. Coffee and cigarettes. It's great. And I love vaporizers, as you can tell. And unfortunately, I used to have a lot more than I did. But when I was recently incarcerated, my pater let a lunatic reside at the temple to keep an eye on it. In his defense, he had cut off communication with me, my pater, prior to my incarceration. So he didn't know He 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 vetted this guy and thought this guy was groovy, but this guy had turned decidedly non-groovy. So I'm trying to figure out what these little dots down here mean. I'm not trying to end the stream. No, I want to stay on page. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out these little dots here. And also, the problem of having a beard is occasionally a hair gets in your mouth, and then you got like and then I really got to trim it up a little bit because it's my mustache is starting to grow over my upper lip, and while it produces a nice look, visual effect, it's annoying as all hell. So I do need to trim up a little bit, and hopefully I have those things because this is my 28th day since being out of jail, and I came home to a broke down palace, as the Grateful Dead would sing, a temple that had been desecrated in almost every conceivable fashion. I think probably almost every conceivable fashion, and probably a few inconceivable ones as well. So, yeah. But I digress. You start your morning in this crazy mixed up world we live in, this permanent apocalypse, and it's best because we've all lost what maybe normal routine. The normal routine I remember, well, from growing up and having a child myself, is you wake up, you go to school, you come home from school. While you were in school for day, parents were working. Uh, then you all come home at end of day together and so forth. And that was being part of a traditionally nuclear family. My child did not have that luxury growing up. Now, a lot of people do, but I had a mom and a dad, and they hung out together. I don't think they really should have. I think they should have gotten a divorce. I don't know, about 10 years before my mother died. I think that would have been the best course for both of them to have gone their separate ways. But for their own reasons, they decided to stick together. I think both ended up being detrimentally impacted by that decision. But hey, that's their will. And they both followed it. And I'm free to say what I think about it, and they're free to think what they think about it. But having read my mother's journals, that really, losing her was very hard. She was a great human, and an awful human at the same time, like we all are. We all, like in some stories, we're heroes, and in some stories, we're the villain. Think about that. You right now out there, one viewer, I think, maybe that's what that little man up there next to the thumbs mean. But that means there's one viewer out there, and it hasn't increased, but there's no thumbs up. So I don't know. And I don't know if anybody will ever watch this again. I don't really care. I'm just, eventually, this will be a YouTube channel. What am I calling myself this go around? Jesus, Lord, Buddha, Ganesh, who knows? Can I click on this and not leave the page? I don't even know what this YouTube channel, Urban Spaceman. There we go. That's cool. I like that. Is that what it's called? Great. Probably my real name's up there too. I know for the longest time when I started Twitter 1.5 million years ago, for the longest time, I think I just was tweeting with my name. I think. I don't even remember what my original Twitter handle was. And it's weird because I met my wife, ex-wife now, of many, even not technically ex-wife, another long story. But I mean, on Twitter. And I met another love of my life on Twitter too. I met two loves of my life on Twitter. And there was a third human that when I was on Twitter with that, if things had gone differently, I think I could have fallen for them too. In no uncertain doubt. And then there was probably like a lot. It was really, am I on Twitter now? I don't know. I probably should launch a Twitter to go along with this. But yeah, I mentioned my temple landline. I don't know it that well. It's 804-805-2134. So that, I don't care. I will write it here. This is oh, where's my keyboard? I love having everything disconnected from itself. It's so wild. This would be just so it's here, Temple landline. I don't care. Call it. Remember your country code first. If you're out of country and you want to call, I wouldn't know why you would. That's a 1, and then 804. That bounces me down to a certain geographical area of Virginia. And it's funny, if you live in this area of Virginia, they're like, "Oh, 804 is better than 757." Most of the time, that's what the 804 people say. But then some of the 804 people say, "I wish I was in the 757." And but anyway, I mean, and then that'll get further subdivided. But there was a guy in jail. While in jail, got 804 tattooed right here to show his pride for the 804. Go somewhere else. That 804. I mean, it's always meaningful to a degree, but I mean, eventually, I don't know. Do they do away with area codes? I don't know. Have you ever like the Rockford Files, for example, is a great. I love private detectives, and I love James Garner. So clearly, the Rockford Files is a show I own on DVD, and often, if you enter my temple, you might encounter the Rockford Files being on, and and again, if you don't like that, fuck off. I don't care. You're inside my temple. Now, eventually, uh, before this temple's disbanded, if more people decide to um, move into this collective, then I'm clearly, I mean, I care. But if you're visiting, you're just stopping by. You're gonna tolerate what the fuck's on my TV. I remember there was this brother of mine who came in, and he was messing around with my Traveler guitar, which is on loan right now, and it will be returned this evening. I do hope, and it'll be a pointed conversation later. And he was tuning it, and he broke one of the strings. Oh, I'm sorry. And like every time he tunes the guitar, he breaks a fucking string. I mean, it just it's a nightmare because the Traveler's a real bitch. And if I had it here to illustrate why it's a bitch to restring, I could, but I'll have it tonight, maybe in a later video. It's a Traveler guitar, really wonderful little guy, but a bitch to restring. And then I was on my cell phone because I had a cell phone at that point. He's like, "Hey man, if you don't mind, I'm really going to have to ask you to turn your cell phone off. I don't like them." It's like, you're inside the temple here. I have the cell phone on. I'm talking to a friend like randomly on another continent right now. I was talking to a freighter in England. I was like, "So you're just gonna fucking deal with it? And if you don't like my cell phone being on in my temple, then you can go." You know, that was how that conversation went. But obviously, if he was hanging out here and was part of this temple versus just a visitor, and then clearly, I would be, readily willing to discuss like a cell phone free living room space to make that individual comfortable if all other parties agreed to it. It's like no cell phone usage in the living room between 3 and 5 or something, because I'd want everybody to feel comfortable. But it's not like a no cell phones in the living room at all ever, because this one freighter has a paranoid ideation that cell phones secretly communicate to him and track him. But that's not paranoid. Yeah, that's true. But I try to, like, I have so many freighters, no sorors with this problem, but many freighters will come to me with a cell phone, and it's so fucked up. This is Android users. I don't know any body right now that I come into regular contact with that has an Apple. But and their phone is so fucked up. It's got like malware and like spyware and all kinds of fucking crazy shit. Like literally one time a freighter came over to the house here, and he's like, "Hey, my phone's all fucked up." and it was like Facebook, and I said, well, let me see your phone, and I pulled up, and there was like two Facebooks on there. One was like definitely like not a real Facebook. I was like, what the fuck's this? And he was kept getting like kind of like weird, like kind of solicitatious messages from the messenger on this one Facebook. But what really pissed me off one night was when he's like, he would randomly, like every other night, be bringing me his phone, like, who's this girl? What is she Facebook messaging me for? Doesn't that look like this girl so and so? And actually, what was weird was one time, and it was probably like 2 weeks, he was just getting bombarded with these messages, and 3 nights in a row, it was just some random, probably Facebook robot, who knows what the fuck. But then it was literally an image of a girl that worked at one of the local shops. And I was like, yeah, you're right, that's her, but I don't think that's not her name. That's not this name. That's her face and picture, yes, but that's not her name there. But yes, that is a solicitatious message associated with that image, but that's not that name. So I let that shop girl know that was happening, because that somebody has obviously is using her image to. Really weird. It was a really weird kind of moment. But then, like 3 nights later, he's like, "What about this girl?" And it was, one of my oldest living sorors. Love her dearly, and he was showing me her face and her name, and he's like, "Oh, she just sent me a friend request," and I was like, "No, the fuck she didn't, Frater. No, the fuck she didn't. I've told you for the last 2 weeks your phone's fucked up and goofy because you've downloaded the wrong thing. You don't know what the fuck you're doing well enough, and you'll even admit that you're ignorant in that department. And now you're pissing me the fuck off because you're coming to me with a picture of somebody I love dearly telling me they sent you a friend request when I know the fuck they did not." So I picked up my cell phone and I called this lovely soror at that moment in time. And as fate would have it, she picked up. And I said, "Hey, lovely, please tell this motherfucker, I'm putting you on speaker real quick, that you didn't send him a friend request. You didn't send this motherfucker a friend request." She goes, "Hey, I don't know you. How are you? No, I didn't send you a fucking friend request." I said, "See, that's that person right there on your fucking phone, the fucking Facebook friend request." And she said, "No," and she said, "Who are we talking about?" And I said, "This so-and-so." And she goes, "No, he sent me one." I said, "See, you sent her one. Did you send this girl a Facebook request? Why did you? Why the fuck did you do that? You don't know her. What the fuck are you doing?" And then, of course, as it happened, um, he was like, "Well, what kind of car does she drive?" I was like, that is a fucking moot point. It does not matter. "Well, maybe I think I know her." No, you don't fucking know her. I can guarantee you don't know her. You've never ran into her. So shut your fucking face, get on the program here, and let me repeat, she didn't send you a friend request. You sent her a fucking friend request. And I'm getting kind of tired of talking about this particular topic right now, Frater. I said, I'm telling you right now, fact, you don't know her. Fact, she didn't send you a request. You sent her one. Something rotten in fucking Denmark. Let's figure out the fuck what right fucking now. And, well, we got to the end of it, I guess. Not really, because that freighter still has a shit ton of trouble with his phone. And again, I keep telling him how to fix it. But, the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, comes to mind. So, but anyway, as we live in this permanent apocalypse, we are each faced with kind of like, well, a lot of us are working from home now. A lot of us are teaching our children from home now. And we're home all the time. Or maybe we're self-quarantining or in this permanent apocalypse, this quarantine, this plague we live under threat of. So it's important to keep normalcy alive as well as we can. And I think if we think about that, a morning ritual. Let's use coffee as an example. The Japanese tea ceremony is something I would recommend looking up as a something to study to maybe give you an idea of how to do this better. But the Japanese tea ceremony is a wonderful thing. Um, but think about your morning coffee. We all usually have a favorite mug. Now, my favorite mug is this beautiful mug here, the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it has some statistics on the back here. These are interesting because as I drink my morning coffee, I read the Blue Ridge Parkway. Carolina to Virginia. It was established in 1935. It's 469 scenic miles, 382 overlooks, 910 vistas, 369 miles of trails, 600 miles of streams, 2,074 plant species. The lowest elevation is 649 feet, and the highest elevation is 6,047 feet. I do find it interesting that they don't mention miles of streams or numbers of animal species. I mean, just saying. And maybe number of Appalachian Trail crossings. But it's a mug and it's really cool. It was a gift from my pager, so it has sentimental value. And it's a grail to me. It's a vessel, it's a cup. I'm a tarot reader, so clearly cups are an entirely long and different conversation. The grail, the symbol of the cup. But think about that. Most of us drink an invigorating beverage in the morning. Do have at least one favorite cup. So that becomes part of the morning ritual, the cup. But then the drink also becomes part of the ritual. But the drink may change. I mentioned Japanese tea ceremony. Maybe you drink tea like the British people do traditionally. I do. I love tea. I like an Irish breakfast tea or a British breakfast tea. Wonderful, robust tea in the morning. And unlike coffee, which I do not like without sugar, I enjoy tea without sugar. Oh, pardon me. I make the joke, and it's a classic joke in regards to coffee. Especially if somebody sees me make my coffee, they're like, "Oh, you like a little coffee with your sugar and milk or sugar and cream?" Yeah. And it reminds me of a joke I heard in jail. One of the things I grew to love in jail, and it was instant coffee. And not ever something I thought I'd grow to love, but was something I grew to love. It was something I remember. The first gift a fellow brother gave me, he came over, and we had been in the quarantine population together. Wonderful guy from California, and he lamented often that his life has been completely a waste since he crash landed in Virginia, and it was largely due to the Herschel penal codes in the Commonwealth of Virginia versus California, and I felt incredibly bad for that brother because I was incarcerated for over 100 days due to a bullshit protective order and mentioning the person on Facebook, and an accidental mentioning. Like, I was not used to having a laptop, and as I typed their name, it was a new Facebook account. Newer. I have two because I got locked out of the one because of a weird cell phone issue thing. I could access it on Facebook, on the phone, but I couldn't remember. I couldn't get the password to work or whatever. I could probably resurrect it, and I'll try later. But I created a new Facebook profile, and I kept getting all these messages like, "Is this really you? Is this a fake?" Because it is. It's two Facebooks, and I had the phone, and I had one on the computer and one on the phone. It was kind of funny. And literally, I knew that me and my evil stepmother, let's say, were friends on the original old account, my first Facebook account. I got locked out of, and then I created a new one. I had forgotten, literally, we were friends on the new one. And I was not paying much attention. because things were not going good for me. So I wanted everybody to know who was the quintessential devil in these matters, and I typed out their name. And when I typed out their name, it like auto tagged them. I didn't even know it was doing that because I had literally not used Facebook on a computer in like literally about a decade. Serious as shit. I'd been phone using only, and it, and an app, as you know, behaves vastly differently than a program on a computer machine. So because of that, I was thrown in jail for over 100 days. And when I was released on August 18th, um, my pater and his new bride to be got an extension of their protective order until August 18th, 2022. So that is unfortunate for me and unfortunate for them. It's an unfortunate denouement, but that is the denouement. And unfortunately, the ball is in their court because literally I have destroyed that ball. Even though the ball exists in my court, if I do anything with that ball and it leaves my court, I go to jail again. And I do not wish for that to happen. I think my experience, while it has been limited with incarceration, has been I never want to be on on that side of the bars again ever. And so I will do whatever it takes to stay on this side of the bars. And because I'm already in one prison of flesh, I don't want to be in a secondary prison. Two prisons, it's two prisons too many. But this one prison, I at least have to come to terms with, don't I? But that's a conversation, deeper one for another time. What I was going to say is think about ritual as something you should have. And if you wanted to contact me, yeah, there's the temple landline. The one viewer wanted to. That rings that phone over there. And that's cool. And then if you wanted to email, it would be you can do that. Oh, where's the keyboard? If you wanted to email, I don't know why you'd want to email. You could just comment, couldn't you? You could, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe you don't want instant. I don't know. Maybe you're watching this later. So then there's the email. That's one email. I mean, I could provide 1,000 different one emails, but that's one email you could use. And if you like Instagram, you can check out my Instagram. It is there we go. So like that's other things that if you wanted to, and I'm sure I put this on Facebook, and you can follow me there, but let me know if nobody can ever find me, and so if you wanted to connect on Facebook, certainly that would be fine with myself. But I hope this isn't blasting my name out there only because I would accidentally every name I say is going to be not real. So, but I am who I am, and there's image searches, and you can find out who I am. I'm pretty sure it's not the super most difficult thing, and I'm certainly not trying to hide. But I live in a world where, as a magic user, Magick, I appreciate that spelling and the caveat that Crowley and others have put to it versus Magic, and that's a conversation for another time as well. And Urban Spaceman was just was always a favorite song of mine by the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. I love Neil Innes. Um, we lost him in 2019. He died right at the end of 2019. Sad loss, but uh, I'm the Urban Spaceman, one of my favorite all-time songs, and one I've always identified with. So, Urban Spaceman, and that's definitely I've been thinking lately of music because I do like to try to make that. That's successful, you know. But I do record a lot of weird shit in my way, trying to figure out literally everything all at once because I've got time on my hands due to this permanent apocalypse we live in, plague times. So anyway, crazy virus times. So you have your cup, you have your invigorating start of your day morning beverage, be it coffee, be it tea, be it kratom, be it ashwagandha, be it mugwort, be it a bunch of different shit together, uh, shroom tea, whatever you want to begin your day with. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Shine on your beautiful way. Do whatever you have to do to survive. Just do it in love. And you're allowed to do anything you got to do if it keeps you alive and shining without, of course, harming any other stars in the process from being able to shine in their beautiful way. So, perfect opportunity to add a ritual, a ceremony, a concept of mindfulness to the start of a traditional day concept would be we all have our favorite, I mean, morning beverage mug, coffee mug. Usually, most humans have more than one. I used to have quite the collection. My favorite um, coffee mug was a 30-year-old mug. It was handmade by uh, a gorgeous woman I had a crush on. She dated one of my uncles, and uh, I just thought she was like super hot and had a total crush on her, and and she made this mug, and it was a naked woman mug, and the breasts were like wired into the mug, so they kind of wiggled, and so when you moved it, the breasts would kind of jiggle, and it would say, "Don't you like to jiggle in the morning?" or something like that on it too. It was just this weird ass, and unfortunately, oh, pardon me. Unfortunately, what happened there was I sneezed because of particulate in the air. A good sneeze though. Now I feel perfectly cleansed and breathing better. But it was just such this weird fucking piece that my grandmother hated it. It was like this like family drama, kind of like in the Christmas Story movie that a lot of people are familiar with, the fragile, the leg lamp. We had this weird naked woman mug with jiggling breasts, and it literally survived up until it actually broke this year when some asshole that was uh, crashing here. We were all having coffee that morning. He grabbed it, threw it in the microwave. I guess he wasn't thinking. Maybe he didn't know. Um, you know that not all things are microwave safe, and certainly a ceramic handmade mug with wired breasts on it would be completely unsafe. Now, it was well made. You couldn't see that the breasts wiggled because of a wire, but clearly they did. And so he poured some coffee. He took a sip. It wasn't cold enough, so he put it in the microwave. And literally, I walk in at that point because if I had seen him approaching the microwave with the cup, I would have said, "Hey, no, don't Frater, don't put that in the microwave." But I didn't. I was taking a piss, and I walked into the kitchen as he was putting it in the microwave, and of course, metal in the microwave. Don't do this experiment; it doesn't work out well. Um, it was. I wish I had it recording because it was a beautiful, lovely explosion. And like literally, I tried to get to it before it did. And as I opened the door, the piece of metal that secured the giant breast to the female esque form of the ceramic mug, the piece of metal that hung the jiggling breast shot off and actually like drilled itself into the linoleum of the kitchen floor. Like, thank God it didn't drill into my foot. And the breasts exploded, were exploding off. And it would have been a great video moment. And thank God, not part of a magic ritual, because what the fuck? That sounds like black evil magic to me. Like destroy this vessel as if you would link that to that or something. I don't know. Sounds kind of like would it not be good magic? That'd be bad magic. Black, white magic. You know, black magic. See, how that absence of all color, white magic, all color together. I'm not a white. I don't even like being called a white person because I'm like a pale person. That'd be better. Like I guess like a pale flesh tone. I'm not white. I'm not the absence of all color. There's a little bit. And black people aren't black. They aren't the absence of all color. They're just brown. I mean, sometimes they are a very dark brown, but none are black. It, you know, speaking correctly is what I. And if we're not going to speak correctly, what the fuck is the point of what the fuck is the point of talking about it? And the other thing I run into a lot in this world is every fucking thing is rechargeable now. And like, I never have, which I love. I'm not bitching about rechargeable things. It's just a nightmare of cords and wires and again, that's routine morning, waking up. So I hope you read something. That's a good way. I read the Book of the Law every day. Liber Alva Legis. What's that? That's Latin for the Book of the Law. Yeah, I've said it twice. But due to your ignorance, you don't know that the Book of the Law and Liber Alva Legis are the same, just two languages at once. And this is the Book of the Law, Liber Alva Legis, with a facsimile of the manuscript as received by Alistair and Rose Edith Crowley on April 8th, 9th, and 10th, 1904 EV. This is the centennial edition that I'm holding in my hands, and it's been traveling with me a while. That's why it's, not in the best shape. Now, I don't know if Visor would be how I say it, but it could be Weiser, Weiser Books. Great publication house. Go to their website. Look, I'll just type it out since I have that ability on this thing. And I'm sure I can get fancier if I'm just doing live right now, because I like to figure things out as I go, and I really don't care about putting up raw Visor Books or Wiser. I don't know how to fucking say it. You can say it any way you want. In association with Ordo Templi Orientis and great organization. I am a member. I recommend looking into them. So I'm going to spell that out for you. So you can go to their website, and that's out of York Beach and Boston. And this was printed, obviously, Centennial Edition 100 years later. So this edition came out in 2004. And just, it's all right there. I'm just reading. And we say a facsimile edition because while, there are some chapters that start, this first part of the book is just discussion on the book. And then, of course, this is the opening page. And that's a bunch of, does that come in? I can't look and see at the same time, unfortunately. So that's the first, page. This would be the title page, see? And then, of course, then you open it. And then you have this, and then you have chapter 1, and it has a threefold book, so 3 chapters. And then when we get to the end of the third chapter, there's when we read this, the printed version, we also have then this Centennial Edition, see, continues. We're about halfway through the volume here with an introductory note to the Book of the Law again, right? Then we have, look at that, open, see that, and then we actually can read the original handwriting right here. I just have the manifestation of Nuit. See, right there. I'm reading what he wrote. It's interesting because then I can say, wow, it's kind of hard. The unveiling of the company of heaven. Every man and every woman is a star. Every number is infinite. There is no different. Help me, O warrior lord of Thebes, in thy unveiling before the children of men. And that's right there in the handwriting, in its as it was written down in 1904. That's groovy. I don't have to rely on anybody else but me for that translation, because thank goodness I read English. thank goodness, Aleister Crowley was English speaking. So he wrote down, as this book was received by his wife, she received it, she communicated it to him, he sat and wrote it down on April 8th, 9th, and 10th in 1904 in Cairo, Egypt. That helps me. I don't have to, because see, if I chose, let's say, a different book to read every morning, I'm going to go over to the shelf and pick an example. For instance, the Book of the Law, this is, I know, an authorized edition. When I was recently incarcerated, the first Book of the Law that was given to me by the great CO, corrections officer at the Hopewell, Virginia Regional Jail, which I think is called Riverside Regional Jail. I wish I could remember that CO's name, but I do not. She was a Caucasian woman. There was also a brown-skinned man, probably in his 40s, and there was another Caucasian man, heavier set. No denigration to the COs that I encountered that I'm not mentioning, but those three were pretty groovy green by me for being what they were, for being what I was. And she made sure when I requested the Book of the Law that I had that, and I had that within like 30 minutes. In all honesty, the first chapter, because she told me that was all she had time to print. But that was great of her. That was really awesome of that CO, and I've been meaning to call that jail and compliment those COs, because I'm sure they could look that up the day I was arrested, and then like look up like shit about me and like figure out who that CO was. Because in all honesty, that's a job. It's not an easy job. It's like being a police officer or a peace officer. That's not an easy job. It is a job. Yes, that person is choosing to do it. And maybe just for a moment, be thankful that they're there, because in general, we live in a society, and that society is held together by rules. Murder is illegal. And so most people, I think, might have a very justifiable reason for wanting to murder somebody. I hate to say it, but if somebody raped my kid, I know my initial gut instinct reaction is, fuck them. I want, it's a kind of a visceral, fuck you, you fuck with me, I fuck with you. You throw a ball against me, I throw a ball against you. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, kind of visceral, reptilian almost, base of the brain development, an overriding kind of thought process. And you might be justified. But you would still end up being on the wrong side of the law of the land. Currently, there is no land, except there's a tiny little section. I think it's between I think it's technically in Yellowstone Park, and it's like Wyoming and Montana, this weird no man's land that falls, I think, within the park, where technically, by letter of the law, murder would be legal. And it was a weird trivia to statistic thing, believe it or not. Wow. And I did research it, and it was technically valid, but like literally, I mean, that wouldn't make it like a murder free zone. But I thought, wow, wouldn't that be a great movie? There's a murder free zone, and I don't know, you could you drop two people off there, and I don't know, and it got me thinking. And then maybe I hope if that if that's still valid, maybe we should stop that. And since by letter of the law, there's a legal free murder zone within the United States of America, we should probably remove that. Get rid of that loophole. Not that anybody would use it, and I'm not advocating legalization of murder. I'm using murder as an extreme example of a rule of the land, the law of the land. So, but no, I do have another book of the law. It's over there that the chaplain of the second jail I was in, the Central Virginia Regional Jail I was in, that jail was all right, as far as it goes. As far as jails can be all right. Were there issues I had with it? Sure. Or were there issues other people within it had with it? Sure. But I mean, that's with anything you find yourself within. But there was that chaplain was really awesome. They got me. They sent me in some Buddhist literature, and if I had been there longer, through them, I could have enrolled in a Buddhist education program. 5 free books sent to the chaplain. To me, the chaplain had just approved my ability to receive a copy of the Tao Te Ching. He had personally got me a copy of the Book of the Law, and he was trying to get approval for the Book of Thoth, the tarot deck. But I decided to, not wait and just plead out on it. This familial bullshit that happened to me. So, but anyway, I mean, but are there good COs and bad COs inside of a jail system, inside a prison system? Yes. Are there good cops and bad cops? Yes. In everything, there is a duality, a yin yang, a positive and a negative. Because unfortunately, often we aren't mindful enough of what's important. And so I was just saying, I start with the Book of the Law. I'm not advocating that. I'm not trying to convert you in any way, shape, or form. That's just, I was just telling you why I like it. And I was saying, let me just go over to my bookshelf, which I did. My bookshelf is right over there. I could have turned the camera and could have shown you myself. I didn't. Apologize. But so let's say Christian, because in all honesty, I'm in the southern United States. Clearly, I mentioned it, 804. This is Virginia. It's southern Virginia. It's largely Christian around here. Is that a problem? Yes and no. It can be, because while I was raised with a concept of Christianity, my one side of the family was, I believe, Presbyterian. I think I have that right. And my other side of the family was Catholic. That's why I was baptized Methodist. See how that works? Couldn't be baptized Presbyterian, because then the Catholics could get real fucking mad at the Presbyterians. But I couldn't go to catechism class. Maybe I'm not saying it right, but Catholic class to become a Catholic, because then the Presbyterians would be fucking mad at the Catholics. So I had to be baptized. I don't know, like maybe to appease both of them. And my mother was largely Christian. I was baptized Methodist, I guess, to shut everybody up. It's, even, and I remember all this. I mean, I do, and from that very beginning, I was like, wow, this faith that's supposed to unite everybody can't even bring a family together. So, but hey, I was open to it. And so this is a great, for me, this was a Bible one of my uncles and aunts gave to me. And it's got this really cool bookmark with, it's like, they gave me with it of red for the heart, green for an anchor, and white for a cross, kind of a triple bookmark. I love ribbon bookmarks. and it's the New American Bible, St. Joseph, medium-sized edition, which I like, and it's a really good. It's a New American Bible text. It's uh, a highly acclaimed Catholic Bible, translated from the original languages by members of the Catholic Biblical Association of America. So again, I was saying what I love about this book is that I read it as it I see it existing as in 1904. It handwritten in English. I can read that. There's no translation needed. I love that. But this, if I wanted to read this in its original languages, the Bible, which is just holy book, it's a Bible's a word for book. But you know, let's just say the Old Testament and the New Testament, being I was talking about Christianity, then okay. But then if I were to go get my Masonic Bible, that's a King James translation. So, but I didn't grab my Masonic Bible because it's on a different altar. It's on an altar, and it's not, which is a bookshelf, but different. So anyway, these are my reading. Not that I don't read, but anyway, I digress. So, but we can see clearly how the Bible is a more confusing text, and always has been to me, because there's a Masonic King James edition there, and that's different than like a normal King James, which is also over there. And but then this is the St. Joseph edition. This would be Catholic, but every other denomination of Christianity thinks the Catholics are wrong. Hence the whole family drama. But then let's go simpler. Let's say the beginning. So this is the beginning. This is the book of the law. There are other books. For instance, the Book of Lies. You could read that book by Aleister Crowley if you wanted to. But if you were going to read book one, this would be my recommendation. But that would kind of the ground foundation. But you don't have to start. You could pick up the Book of Lies tomorrow. I mean, if you wanted to, or right now, or whatever, and read that one, and that works for you. So that's great. That's something you can do. But let's just say the beginning, the first of something. So with the Bible, that becomes there's an Old Testament and a New Testament. So we would have to go, okay, Old Testament, then there's the Torah. And if you're Jewish or have studied Judaism, then you know this is the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And you would know that only Messianic Jews read the New Testament, because the Jewish faith, does not accept Jesus as being the Son of God. Great teacher, but if they acknowledge that much, unless they're Messianic Jews and they believe that I mean, everybody has their own belief. I mean, see, look, Jesus, that belief right there separates Judaism, the Abrahamic faith. Just who's Jesus Christ? Jesus of Nazareth. Who's that dude? That that divides the Catholics and the Christians from the Jewish and the Muslims. And see how we just have all this division based on things. This is a container. This is a mug. We have a favorite mug. We pour a liquid in it. This morning, I was lucky enough to have coffee. I was lucky enough to have sugar, and I was lucky enough to have milk. Unfortunately, I currently am out of sugar. And at 1 p.m., I do not feel like going out to get sugar. Because, number one, that would require me walking to, the nearest place to acquire sugar, which would, I think, be one of the dollar places, which is about a mile. Don't feel like walking a mile to get sugar right now. And So therefore, I'll either seek an alternative to sugar, which thankfully I have honey, which is great, but it has a different flavor than sugar. And then I like cream in my coffee. So therefore, but I had coffee starting out. This was my second cup, just finished. I was lucky enough to have sugar, whole milk, and coffee. So I that was a great thing this morning because I had not had those three ingredients, which are what make it a coffee morning for me, um, in 4 days. So it was kind of cool. And that's how right now the paradigm I live within uh, works, and I'm kind of grateful for that. It's given me a great lesson in uh, and when you don't the less you have, the more grateful you become. And so I'm grateful. I've always thought I had a grateful mindset. Um, Maybe I did my best to have one, but it the last cycle of 2-ish years has been an ongoing diminishing return on my investments over time for me, because end of 2017 was the end of a marriage for me, and that led to kind of my life starting over again at the beginning of 2018. But then each there has been a constant. Even before that, you have losses that change paradigms. My grandmother, my mother, some of my uncles that had a great meaningful impact on my life, like the one who gave me the St. Joseph um, medium-sized edition New American Bible. And the reason that will always be on my bookshelf in a place of honor is because it was given to me uh, by my Uncle Joe. And he had actually studied, gone to seminary, and when it came for his final, before he took his final vows, he took a moment and broke. I guess you take a moment for deep reflection. I guess. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs distinctly, but and when he was doing that, he took a big break and then decided not to go back because he met a lovely um, uh, woman who was on the same journey, but for being a nun, different terms, and for you know because of the male female dichotomy that people are obsessed with. Nun priest, they're the same thing. They're holy people dedicated to their faith, and in the Catholic tradition, one of the final vows is, of course, celibacy for life, which I'm not going to get into that seems ridiculous and stupid, but it is to me. I mean, I can see where but being so dedicated to God that yes, but I think you're denying the fact that you're in a flesh prison and that's cathartic release and all that. So then that's probably why you get the fucking weirdos and have the pedophilia problem you do in the Roman Catholic Church. Because let's face it, if the Pope was a president of a child care company like KinderCare, he would be behind bars. He would be, because that's. But anyway, I digress about that, don't I? Because I'm free to digress. I'm free to be tangential. But what I'm trying to do is break everything down. We have a morning ritual. Maybe it's a book. I like to start by reading. Now, there are only certain books I read every day. The Book of the Law is one of those. Another one is the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching I read every day. And then I read something from the Buddhist tradition. And that is a cycle of books that I read through. Some again, some new new, or new to me, thrown into the cycle. Um, in so that's the because when it comes to Buddhism, there's the Dhammapada, and that's really the collection of the Buddha's words. Everything else is, his students talking about his teachings, which is different than, of course, his teachings. But there are different books in Buddhism as well. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get that tangential. So what I'm trying to say is, I like to do a lot of things, but when we're all kind of stuck at home, maybe trying to do more than we've ever been confined to, I think for this permanent apocalypse we live in, try to embrace the idea of ritual. And what I'm saying is that can be is simply starting your day in a manner that is mindful. Uh, you get up. What is the first thing you do when you wake up? Uh, you know, I like to read. I like to have a glass of water and read my at least this and the Tote Chang, and then maybe depending, I have some flexibility because I like for things to be living and breathing. So I do some of my daily readings. I always do the Book of the Law and the Tote Chang while I rehydrate with some water in the morning. And then what I do is then, depending, I will migrate to coffee or tea and Buddhism and kind of do that. And and then I try trying to come up with an optimum schedule, because right now, without having any means of transportation, work from home will be an option. I'm looking into that, but all of that seems to require a Bluetooth headset, and so I have to look into that, and then hardwiring this to the router, this laptop, and you know, or do I get a traditional outside job, like maybe there's a Wawa down the street from me or something, or a 7-Eleven, or a convenience store, or a Target. I worked for Walmart for years. I'd rather not do that again. I mean, but if I had to, I would. I don't think I would have been marked down like with the black mark. Um, I'm proud to say Pier One has the not Pier One, sorry, Hobby Lobby. I worked there in a pinch, helped them build a store. I'm happy to say I'm on Hobby Lobby's do not rehire list. I had a issue with the managers actually, and walked out, and I don't have any regrets walking out on Hobby Lobby. But I, um, when I started at Walmart, I started in the photo lab, which dates me a little bit back when 1 hour photo was still a fucking thing. All I'll say is when you do 1 hour photo, you are scarred for life because you have to verify each print is good, because that's your business, and you will see some shit you wish you never saw. But thankfully, I only had to call the FBI once in relation to suspected pedophilia shot. Thank God that was the case. Thank Goddess, thank the Lord and the Lady, thank Buddha, Ganesh, whatever you want to thank. But that was the only one time I had to do that. But there was a lot of times any nudity that was valid, and not illegal, I could not give to them. They could take the negatives away, but I had to destroy the pictures of the nudity. So we'd have a lot of southern seniors, because this was in Southern Virginia. I also went to school here, like college and the ass end of high school. So my last 2 years of high school, thankfully, were I'm being sarcastic. We're in the South. My first 10 years of school were in the north, I guess south too, because south of Mason-Dixon line in Maryland. So yeah, is what it is. But nothing like because of family bullshit having to relocate because you're 17 and you cannot live with your grandparents without emancipating yourself from your parents. And yeah, that was how anti move to Virginia I was, because you know I was encorseled, and so but ultimately ended up 20. No, that was 19. Jeez, you forget. 1994, I believe, or five. One of those years ended up being kicked off, forced to leave the family commune ish thing, collective, and had to in Maryland, and had to move down to southern Virginia, almost the border of North Carolina, and went to the ass end of high school and the first my undergraduate first 4 years of college at in Southern Virginia as well. So, and then lived other places as well in between, but been, because of family, immediate nuclear core, my mother, my sister, and father, I've always kind of gravitated back towards where they were, and that has been Virginia. Sitting here now in Virginia, I wish I had made different decisions, and I don't, glad I was there for my family. But now that I sit here on the 15th of October in the year of our Lord 2020 EV, I think, wow. And who is of them is here for me now? And could easily be, if they so chose to be. Zero, to answer your question, so therefore makes me think, wow, really probably shouldn't have been so attached to mother, father, and sister. Made some mistakes there. Just hindsight's 2020, as they say. But who the fuck are they? So, but what I wanted to say was, my morning ritual helps me, get back to, it helps me function. Helps me, having that order. Because otherwise, in this particular being, this is my first month after I was incarcerated for over 100 days. So, recently, and then this is my first 30 days out. It's that's something that's always helped me. But wow, I kind of am extra grateful for how important that is, and it kind of made me think I should do a long rambling Facebook thing about it. And then I figured, hey, I'll come over to YouTube and do a long rambling thing about it. I had a script, but then impromptu script. I want to do live, and I like to work out things as I go. I don't want to, like a dress rehearsal rag. Great Leonard Cohen song, the LP Songs of Love and Hate. That's a great Leonard Cohen song, though, it's a great, I think, if you want to send everybody home with thoughts of suicide and hopelessness and desperation, that is the Leonard Cohen song you end your night with. Dress rehearsal rag. It's it's one of my favorites, but I mean, it's but I Songs of Love and Hate is an amazing album. One of my favorite LPs. But then again, and while you're on YouTube, Richard McGraw. I'm sure there's a way to link it. Like I said, I'll get way better at once I have everything kind of together. But you know, Richard McGraw. That is how you spell his name, Richard, and then McGraw, like M little C big G RAW. Brilliant, amazing singer songwriter out of Newburgh, New York. Uh, just an all around amazing guy. Proud to call him a friend. And every single one of his LPs provides a different reason to be a delighted listener. Is there one I would recommend? Uber Alles? No, no. But I would recommend that you check out his cover of California Uber Alles by the Dead Kennedys on here. And I'm sure I could do a link, but I'm thirsty. I want to go get a cup of coffee. I was just going for the 1:30 mark. So, you know, just as an arbitrary statistic to, I don't know, track statistics and try to see if I could get my encapsulated script into an hour and a half. Just trying to figure out about average length. I hit 2 hours on Facebook this AM with the rougher draft. Testing different drafts on different media. I know it's an empirical nightmare. What can I do? So anyway, my morning ritual: a book, a book, a book, a cup, something inside of it, and of course, I like to smoke. Currently, I'm in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I smoke CBD. That is industrial hemp flower. And this, of course, is 15.71% CBD, and it is under the 0.3 delta 9 THC. So completely wonderful and legal in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Though THC and marijuana has been decriminalized in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So now, if you are caught with an ounce and under, it is confiscated and you are given a $25 fine. So it does not impact your criminal record in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So that is something. And if I do not have a cigarette, which I do not, and I do not feel like going to get a cigarette, which I do not, I then therefore vaporize. And then as long as I have liquid for these things, or juice, or whatever you want to call it, and one of these has a charge, I can satiate that. And that's, you know, that's my morning ritual. I also do banishing rituals as well, which are actual magic rituals. But I read and I drink and I meditate before I do anything else. And then I move on to other things. And even in this permanent apocalypse, where I'm 28 days of freedom in, since I was released from incarceration, I'm getting back into life on the outside. And so we're all always dealing with a new paradigm, or we're having to face a new paradigm. That's, you know, and all of us in this permanent apocalypse, this plague times we're living in, are dealing with a crooked piece of time, whether it's our job has gone away, or our job has been reduced, or we're working from home instead of an office setting. Our children were at school, now they're not, or maybe they are. Or they're sometimes in school, sometimes at home. I mean, you know, these are changes, and we're always going through changes. Things, that's the one constant in life, isn't it? Changes. And a great David Bowie song, isn't that? Changes. Man, I wish I could hear that right now. But I can't. And I just wanted to hit the 130 mark. Impromptu. Probably need a tighter script. But again, Richard McGraw, great musician, lovely human being. Proud to call him a friend and a freighter. And check anything out by him. Um, I would say, hey, why not start with Sadness? There's multiple videos for it. Um, maybe check out the groovy one with Corey Feldman and listen to that song. But there's also a great lyrical video out there if you want to sing along. So watch whatever video you want to of Sadness, one, two, or three, but maybe that's the song you go with today, Sadness by Richard McGraw, if you don't mind. And provide him or myself your thoughts. He has a channel on here, um, on the YouTube, uh, you know, machine. So, you know, subscribe, um, you know, thumbs up it. What go to iTunes, download. Go to Amazon, download. I don't know, go to Spotify, follow. Go to YouTube Music, follow. Just show your support to any fucking artist. I'm just you know, shameless promotion uh, for a brother of mine. Why not? I mean, there's the one whole viewer I have. I think that's what that means. I don't even know what that means. I don't know how to track any of this shit yet. So, pardon me. Please forgive me for all my fucking failures, and I'll do the same for you, and we can forgive each other till we both turn blue. So I will end this and say LUV 93.